Hey everyone, welcome to the Big Tech channel. Today I'm going to be working on a small project. Um, this project involves adding a 12 volt or lighter port, whichever you want to call it, accessory units for cars that only have one or have one that's inaccessible. Some people don't like to use these or the ones that are solid only because it creates more bulkiness or it takes up the space. Um, my goal is to create one that plugs into the fuse box using an added circuit. And this added circuit is going to be plugged into the actual fuse in the fuse box that supplies power to the existing accessory sockets. And what I need for the project that I'm working on, I need at least maybe 2 feet of cable. And this is going to be even simpler because it's going to show you what your ground and positive is. Heat shrink once for the connections. Of course, your soldering iron and your flux solder and wire strippers. And these are the little connections that I'm going to use where I'm going to ground off somewhere in the chassis. But the purpose of this video is to show you really quick. I'm going to try to document some of the steps and how to create an extender where you can actually then conceal it under the dash or under the center console. You know, a lot of people like to hardwire their they like to hardwire their dash cam or their radar detector, and sometimes they would buy a hardwire kit, and this is kind of trying to save you money, if you may want to call it that. And this will have multiple purposes, and in the process making a cheap, cost effective, more bang for your buck solution. Okay, so I bought this at Harbor Freight for less than $4, less than $5, and I am going to splice it because it's not long enough. I would have thought that it would be long enough, and it does come with a fuse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to salvage this plug for a future project, and I'm going to cut it, give it maybe an inch or two. And that's why I have this as maybe two and a half feet in length, and we're going to work off of that. So I'm going to get started. Okay, so I said before that I was going to salvage this plug, but I decided to take it apart to see which is the ground and which is the positive, because being that this is a Harbor Freight accessory plug, it doesn't have the stripe indicating which is the positive, differentiating from the ground. And I'm sure that I can get one of these plugs if I need it. I have a whole bunch anyway. So this is the setup, and definitely this is the positive, and it has a little resistor here with LED showing power going into it, and then this is the actual ground. So I'm going to desolder this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the red on this end and put the negative on this end. Now, one of the advantages of having this type of setup is when you plug in any device, instead of hardwiring it directly to the or getting the kit. Some of these hardwire kits are $20-$30. This is only $4. I already had these. Even with the parts that I have, it didn't come up to 20, and I'm getting 2 for the price of 1. Is that you would have the dual protection. Not only would you have the protection from the fuse on the adder circuit, but you would also have the protection from the fuse on the dash cam's plug itself, or your radar detector, or whatever accessory you want to add that you want to use this to get power from. So that's an added security, added insurance, kind of cheap insurance, kind of, if you want to call it that. So let's get to work. Alrighty. Okay, so I've desoldered one of the ends. This is actually the ground end. And I've stripped with my wire stripper the end that's going to go to the ground. That's the tip that I just removed. And I'm not going to record myself soldering and stripping wires, only because I want to keep this video short and sweet and straight to the point. If you need to learn how to solder or how to strip wires, there's a whole bunch of videos for that. That'll defeat the purpose. Alrighty, so let me get to work, and then I'll show you what this looks like, both ends soldered together, ready to go. Okay guys, so I went ahead and soldered the two ends, the end for the accessory socket and the wire that goes to the ground. And right before I soldered it, I put some heat shrink tubing so I can slide it over and then, you know, seal this up. I'm gonna, once this is done, both ends, I'm gonna actually wrap it with black electrical tape, so it doesn't really matter that this is white. The you know, what we want right here is to make sure that this is done correctly and this is sealed. This is going to be under, at least for the project that I'm working on, under the center console, and there's exposed metal pieces that could be grounded to the metal body of the vehicle, could cause a short. You want to avoid that and mitigate that as much as possible. So just want to show you what I did. Okay guys, so here we have both sides soldered, and I'm about to slide the heat shrinking tubing over it and seal this up and then wrap it up with black tape. But before I do that, I want to make sure that my connections are correct, and I like to test this outside of the vehicle, of course, in case there's an error or whatever, so I can desolder it. But what I do is I have an old passport scanner that I use as a guinea pig, and then I have a 12-volt supply that I'm gonna plug in to make sure that this is wired correctly. And if it is, then here is the I'm gonna put this here so you guys can see. Let me just prop this up so you can see that I'm not doing anything. And I'm gonna plug this into one of the sockets. Here we go. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the positive here. See how this is nice and identified? The white means that's current, and the black is ground. So I'm gonna put the power, the 12-volt, into the tip, and then I'm gonna connect it to the ground, and the scanner should, and there it is. So that means that the wiring is correctly, and I'm gonna test both of them. I'm gonna unplug this one right here, and I'm gonna plug it to this one. There it is. So it's working. So now all I need to do is add the circuit, or shall I say add a circuit to the correct, which is going to be here. And what I might wind up doing is, I don't want to crimp it. I think soldering would be the best bet, and then shrink wrap it. Not shrink wrap it, you know, shrink tube, and then I want to add one of these connectors so I can ground it correctly. If you're gonna do a job, don't skimp. Do it the right way. Okay, so I'll be back with the final and end results. Okay guys, so here it is. I want to show you one more time before I button all this up. So here it is. Soldered it together, and I'm gonna slide this over and seal it up. But before I do, I want to give it one more test. And the way I test it is the same way. I'm gonna take the power, and I'm gonna plug in the power from where it would come in on the vehicle itself once you plug it in, which is here. And then I'll just do the ground, and let's see. There it is. See? no tricks. Now I'm going to take it off. And to show you that the fuse, I'm going to remove the fuse. And I'm going to, again, and there it is, no power coming in. Now if I put the fuse on that, which is on the top one is for the added circuit, the bottom one is where you would put the fuse that's on the fuse box in the vehicle. So I'm going to plug this back in. If you notice, if I put it here, nothing happens. Kind of hard work like this. I need a better setup for this, but see, you got nothing. But once I put it in where the power is coming in from, and there it is. So I'm going to wrap this up and then show you the final product once it's all nice and buttoned up. Okay guys, so let me show you the final product, and here it is. Now I went in and I swapped out the 15 amp fuse that came in there for a 20 amp, being that that's the same amp fuse that's on the accessory fuse on the fuse box, and being that the fuse for the accessories in the vehicle is going to go on there, it's not like you're going to overload it. So I'm guessing that 20 amps is what it's rated for. I didn't put the tip here because I need to test it as well on the vehicle, make sure everything's working fine, and I'll come back and do it. But here it is. Not bad, right? For a small project. You know, maybe consider doing some of these. I did search for a product like this on Amazon and eBay, and there's nothing like that. I guess because people prefer to buy the hardwired kits for whatever device they're using, whether it's you know, a dash cam or you know, we call it a scanner, you know, those laser jammers and all that kind of stuff. But this is a very good alternative because you can, you know, you can save, and you can, you know, still use the plug that's supplied like this one with the scanner, and inside here there is a fuse, so it's kind of protected. So I mean, would it be worth it to make this and sell it on Amazon or eBay? Who knows? Maybe you guys can, you know, comment, link, and subscribe. Thanks for watching another VicTech video.